Tilton. We'll support you till the end of the day. We're so happy following the Blues. We love you, what more can we say? Let's hear you in the cup, singing our song, helping and sharing the load. It's worth the point at home when we sing together. We're there at the end of the road. We are the lads from the Tilton. We'll support you till the end of the day. We're so happy following the Blues. We love you, what more can we say? We have a team that's tops here at St Andrews. They're gonna give us what we're longing for. It's Birmingham forever, let's hear it from the stand. So come on, City, sing this song once more. We are the lads from the Tilton. We'll support you till the end of the day. We're so happy following the Blues. We love you, what more can we say? We are the lads from the Tilton. We'll support you till the end of the day.
Hashtag it's what Mondays are for. Well, no win in the last two matches for Blue, and a little bit of a disappointing second half on Saturday. So what we're going to do, we're going to quickly show the ladies and gents, and we've bought him spoons. What an application this is. Brilliant, isn't it? And tonight we've got, of course, Mr. Robe.
Hello, everybody. You okay?
And
Good
Mr.
evening.
Sheen.
Good evening, all.
Mrs. Brown. And the superstar that is, and stalwart of the club, Roy Smith.
I
ask myself that question often. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Welcome, Roy.
Hello.
Thank you very much. Thank you for asking me.
No problem. First met you a couple of years ago at the Boyle Sports shirt launch.
Yeah.
In that little yard in Brum, yeah? And if you remember, I was chatting with you in the townhouse opposite, and I said, oh, we'll have you on one day. And I've been waiting for this day ever since, mate. I promise you.
Oh, it's very kind of you to say.
But
so
you
really
told me on the day that you've taken over 3 million photographs for Blues.
Yeah, probably about right. Yeah, probably about
3 million
2,900,000 are probably not in focus or whatever. So I've kept the good ones. But no, this realistically, yeah, probably about right over the years. Yeah. Because one thing I do, I never really throw anything away that I've taken, good or bad. So in the olden days when it was negatives, before it was digital, I've kept everything, and it's about right, I guess, really.
Wow.
Hell, that's a lot.
That
is incredible.
How many of those are good? That's debatable, but
I bet you got a sore finger.
I've got what? Sorry,
a sore finger.
Blimey, yeah. I put a plaster on it like Michael Jackson put plaster on his fingers when he used to do concerts. So you can just carry on snapping, and it doesn't really affect you.
Oh,
so how many photographs a game on average, ish?
What, per game?
Hmm.
Well, I'm going to answer that question. It really depends on the game. I know it's a flippant answer to a very sensible question, but some games I could probably do 1,500. Some games 500-600. It really depends on the game, what needs taking for the club, because it's not just doing the action. A lot of the time, for an example, I'll give you, on Saturday we wore the Poppy Day shirts, as we always do, if possible, sort of wearing a Poppy Day shirt for filing. And when the shirts are sold, obviously, for the good cause, if somebody wants an actual photograph of the player wearing that shirt during the game, there is access to get a photograph of the player wearing the Poppy Day shirt. So I'd say on average between 1,200 and 1,500, but it depends on the game.
Wow,
I did Birmingham Ladies yesterday, and I probably did about 500. The game was okay, but picture-wise, with the rain, with the fog coming in, it was just awful. So it just ends up doing what you can.
Well, you mentioned Blues women there, Roy. I just want to congratulate Carla Ward on winning Manager of the Month as well.
Oh, incredibly well deserved. She's a lovely lady. She knows what she wants. She's a woman with her own mind, which is good, and she calls it as it is. And the players respect that. The staff respect that, and she's absolutely bang on. She's great, and it's very, very well deserved.
Definitely.
Okay, so right at the end of the show, then we're going to say a couple of get wells to some of our followers, fans, and friends and family. First and foremost, get well soon, Auntie Linda's mum. Auntie Linda's mum's been quite poorly lately, so you know that we're all with you, Linda, and if you need anything, then we're always here, always. And of course, our own Barrington Patterson as well, who's not been very well. Well, no, Baz. Get well soon to you, my friend, and best regards to you. Right, even this COVID thing won't go away, will it? Won't go away. My son's girlfriend.
Hopefully, they've announced some form of vaccine today. So hopefully,
I saw that.
Hopefully that bears fruit.
Looks promising.
Well, my son's girlfriend's been struck down with it now.
Oh no!
Yeah, she had a positive test last Wednesday.
Oh, what a shame! It's true. Obviously, for sport, it's not doing sport any favours. It's not doing anybody any favours. One of my best friends is a music photographer in Warsaw, Jason, and he's a lovely lad. But his core business is live music photography, and I don't. He hasn't taken anything since sort of February, March, really, and it affects people in different ways.
Yeah.
But I'm lucky in the respect that football is still going on. And there is, stuff for me to do, not just obviously with the first team, but I say yesterday we did do the ladies, we covered the under 23s, we did the 16s, we do the 18s, and there's always something to do, at the club, fortunately. So I've been there and just get on with it, really.
So would you be at the training ground as well? Would you work like pretty much every day, right? Or 6 days a week?
I work here every day. It's sort of in the office because there's so much to do. Filing, archiving. I try and get to the training ground a couple of times a week. It really depends what's required. But it's the actual job itself is now getting to be a 7-day-a-week job because there's always something happening. When we have new signings, that's fun and games because you can't really sort of plan a day or a week. Because to use an old saying from a TV show, anything can happen in the next half hour. And if it does, you've got to be around, to do it. And there's all you're all. I wouldn't say you're on call because you're not, but I could get a call in 10 minutes' time and say such and such is coming down or whatever. We need you to take the photographs of this, that, and the other. So you've got to go down and do it.
And you did say off air, it's not the only place you go to, isn't it? I mean, you do the cricket and all sorts of things.
I was saying to you earlier on, really I started off doing cricket and I learned really the art of, if you like, sports photography through my early days doing cricket. When I was younger, I wanted to be a music photographer because I love music, and I started doing a little bit of music photography when I was a young lad. But cricket really, working for Warwickshire, working with a chap called Ken Kelly, who some of your older listeners and viewers may know. He was the Warwickshire photographer for many, many years and one of the most respected photographers really in the country for many a long year. Taught me an awful lot. We did a lot of games together and I learned through him a hell of a lot about not only just sports photography, timings and things to look out for and conditions, all sorts. And that sort of led to football, really.
And what was your first game as a photographer at the Blues? And a fan as well, if you like. What was your first game as a fan? Your first game as a photographer?
Well, many of you know probably, I'm not English. I was born in Croatia, or as it was then, the former Yugoslavia. And came over when I was 5, 6 years old. And we moved to Aylesbury. And I always remember sort of watching football. It was the big match then, and Aylesbury at that time, I always remember was sort of big Arsenal territory. So I love football from the first time I saw it, really. And then my father got a job in Birmingham, and we moved to Birmingham. We lived in Sturchley, and my dad loved sport. He enjoyed boxing, but for some reason, and I never really knew why, he wasn't really into football. And while he was alive, all the years we only ever went to one football match together, but what I'm trying to say is, when we were in Aylesbury, our next door neighbour was a big football fan, and just one Saturday he said, does your son want to go to the football with me? And it was the first match. It's Sheffield United, 1972, after we got promoted, and that was really the first game, you know, I actually went to and saw live, and I was 10 years old, never forget it. Walked in, I just remember vividly how green the pitch was, and I walked up, and we stood up by the just by the old scoreboard, by the old clock.
Yeah.
Knows, but I had to, because I was quite little, I had to go down right to the front, and in those days, the older people will obviously know you had those spiky barriers. So I was rammed up against the spiky barriers, and I just loved it because I could see everything, and that was really my first game as a club photographer. Probably 95 season against Brentford.
Yeah.
We played. I think Nicky Forster played. Definitely Martin Granger played. I remember Grange playing for Brentford, and from there really. But I've done a few bits and pieces at St Andrews before, and even sort of into the late 70s, I did a few photographs because I got to know the photographer there at the time, a chap called Bill Goulden, who worked for the program printers at the time. I think it was Peerless Press. I think they were based in West Brom, I think, and they did the loose program at the time. And Bill worked for them, but he was also the photographer for Birmingham. And Roger Parker, who still gets involved with Birmingham, he was one of the founders of the Birmingham ladies team. Rod still turns up for games even now, and he does a lot of tennis all over the world, so he's all over the shop. So really, I'd say 72. But I did pictures before then, and certain games that I remember, that I did. I think the first one really was about, we were playing Southampton, and I went and did some photographs. And at that time, one of my favourite players was Mick Shannon. And I thought, what I want to do is get a nice picture of Mick Shannon. I always remember it. And in those days, a photographer, you've probably seen the cigarette card pictures or the posters or whatever. You can go onto the pitch while they're warming up and say, could I have a photograph? And most players were only too happy. And I walked onto the pitch. I can't remember how old I was. I was 16, 17 or something like that. I said, Mick, is it okay if I do a quick photograph? And he gave me a mouthful of abuse. And I was taken aback a little bit, really. And I can't obviously say what he said, but I'll never forget what he said. So I thought, okay, well, that's a good start. And funny enough, years later, I went to a dinner somewhere in London, and Mick was one of the speakers. And I took some pictures of him sort of speaking. And I said to him, first time I ever saw you, you gave me absolute dog's abuse when I wanted a little photograph of you just on the pitch. And he was quite embarrassed about it, really. He said, I'm ever so sorry. And he said, oh, did you take any pictures of me tonight? I said, yeah. So in those days, we had photographs. None of it was digital. He said, could you send me a few? And I posted them off to his stables, I think, because he became a massive horse racing trainer, a very successful one as well. And about 2 weeks later, I got this box in the post. And I opened the box, and there's a pair of football boots and a little note. And I said, dear Roy, thanks for the photographs. I remember what you said. I'm ever so sorry for that time I sort of swore at you and whatever. I've got an old pair of football boots here of mine, which I'd like you to have. And please accept sort of basically my apologies. I didn't mean it. And I thought that was really a lovely thing to do. And I've still got them. And they're upstairs, and they're treasuring them really with a little note that Mick sent me. But that was really I think Joe Gallagher scored twice, and really the first goal pictures I took were of Joe scoring the goals. Right, so okay. I remember that.
He didn't score many, did he?
And I bet it must be so strange now in St Andrews, and obviously in any ground with no fans, obviously being a photographer.
It's incredibly strange. It's incredibly strange. I think the way I personally see it, because as I said earlier on, I do an awful lot of the the reserve games, the 23 games, and some of them obviously are played at St Andrews, and in many ways it's like doing a reserve game with the first team.
Yeah.
So the actual environment doesn't bother me so much, but when you think it's an actual first team game, it's really really weird. And you need the fans. You've got to have the fans there. I can't wait for them to come back. The players feel exactly the same. But it is weird. But what is interesting is hearing what's actually said on the bench. You can hear quite clearly, obviously, the players, what they say to each other. But what I find really, really interesting is I've got usually where I sit, I've got the linesman, person, to be politically correct, running past me. Just how much they talk to the ref. When there's a crowd there, you obviously you see them running up and down. You can't hear anything.
Yeah.
When it's quiet, what is interesting is just how much the linesman speaks to the ref. Everything they see, everything they're doing, everything they're about to do, the players they're seeing, they name the players by name if they know them, or they usually say Blue, I don't know, Blue 9, Hogan or something like that. Just how much they actually convey information to the referee at all times. And I've never ever heard that before. Also, I knew they were all mic'd up, but I thought it was a good dodgy decision. They'd say what they've seen, but they're constantly speaking to the referee, which I find absolutely fascinating.
You just talked about Shannon's boots and that, and I'm just thinking, you must have a museum at home now, Roy.
I've got bits and pieces.
What have you got?
Oh, I can't
What can we have?
Real question, yeah, what can we have?
I've got stupid things like, as I said to you about the Roger Johnson incident at Wembley after we won the Carling Cup. I've got the empty bottle of champagne that he emptied over my head. I've got that. I've got sort of player shirts. I've got balls. A lot of the lads want their photographs, or they want photographs of when they play, or there's a significant moment. And they say, Roy, can you print me off a few photos? And can we have them? Which I've never had any problem with. I never take any money off them. So I usually say, well, if you've got someone at the end of the season, an old pair of boots or something you can sign for me, or a pair of gloves if they're a goalie. I'm happy with that. And all of them are pretty good. They'll give you a pair of boots at the end of the season or something like that. My prize thing really, like I say, one thing, Jude gave me his last boots that he played, which I'll treasure.
Wow.
I'm going to give to my sons. So they're Adidas boots. I can't remember what they are, but Mercurial or something like that. I don't know. But Jude gave me his last pair of boots in his last game for Blues.
Superb. Did you wear a pink hat the other night?
Yes, I did. There's a story behind that, why I wear a pink hat. A lot of the lads say if I score, I'll try and run towards you if I can see you. Because, as I said, they really enjoy having their pictures, and they like to see their pictures if they scored. Jukie's he likes his pictures and whatever. Jukie's a good celebrator, so I always say, well, now it's sort of colder winter time. I say, I'll wear a pink hat. So what you got to do is look what the pink hat is, and invariably they run the other way, which drives me absolutely mad. And then they say, oh boy, did you get me skull? Did you get me celebration? I said, yeah, I did, but with your back to me, and you're running the opposite way. So the pink hat theory, I will wear it. Hopefully one of them will remember that it's me, and then run towards it. So there is a method in that madness.
Oh, you know what we're going to do now, don't you, Roy? We're all going to turn up in pink hats.
We're all going to turn up in pink.
Yeah. As long as you turn up, I just want fans in the stadium. I don't care what colour hats they wear.
Yeah, that'd be great.
As long as they're in there, it'd just be nice to have a full blooming stadium.
Yeah, two
Question for Chris Brown.
Go on then.
Why have you got a bucket under your table?
Now, we said we weren't going to talk about my bucket under the table.
No, you said we weren't going to talk about it.
It's so I can spit my chewing gum in too.
Yeah, right. We'll leave it at that, shall we? Penny says, Roy, do you have any pictures of Harley Dean scoring? Because I'm always in the loo when he does. I have.
I've got a few Harley. I think the last one was at Stoke. Obviously, when we were playing in green a few weeks ago. Again, Harley's a good lad. Scores, runs the other way. So, so my theory goes out the window every time. But I suppose it's the moment you don't think of, where's Roy in his pink hat? I'll run towards him when you just scored when you just scored a bullet header. You just want to, celebrate it. But Harley's a good lad. He's a good celebrator as well.
Brenda wants to know: are you a Blues supporter?
I've been a Blues supporter since I lived in Birmingham. This is my first ever game, as I just said to you, 1972. I've never been to a live football match up to that point. Aylesbury wasn't really a hotbed for football. Been a Blue Nose ever since. Die hard.
Here's one for you, Roy. A couple of years ago, England played Croatia in the World Cup semi-final.
Yeah, I know what you're going to ask me. Who do I
bet that
support?
was a bit awkward, wasn't it, for you?
I'll be honest, as I always am with questions. I did support Croatia. And My Twitter followers will go down by about 3,000 now, I know.
Well, that's why you were born and bred, isn't it? That's why you was born and bred.
Born and bred. You know, that's the only time I'll always support, not only just in football, but obviously, you know, the Croatian lads in tennis. Well, I say Croatian, it was Serbian as well. To my mind, it's still the former Yugoslavia, really. Yeah. I mean, Ziggy was Serbian, but he was still, you know, Yugoslavian to me. Sunic, Croatian, he's still Yugoslavian. You know, we're all under the same.
Yeah.
Do you go back much?
I've got to admit, the answer to your question, I did support Croatia. Oh, well, we were on pre-season. I'm just trying to think where we were. I had dogs abuse. Certain people didn't talk to me for a couple of days. That was fun. That was fun when we won, and I do. It's like that's who I am. That's where I was born and bred, and that's the only time I'll ever support. You know, support the country really.
Yeah. Roy, do you go back? Do you go back to say Yugoslavia?
When I can. I haven't been back for a while. I go back when I can. A lot of my family.
Oh, I think you've just accidentally switched on your mute. I think you've just put your mute on, Roy.
Dan's gone.
Your mute is on, Roy.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, you're back. It's okay. Are you back?
I think you're back.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Oh, it's okay. You mute. You was on mute for a second then.
I haven't touched anything.
Oh, right. Okay.
And
Fetch the sun.
I'll go and get him.
It's okay.
I go back and usually have about 2 weeks. And you know, trying to get a holiday away from football is nigh on impossible, really, at great length. But there's people you've got to go and see, and if you go and see one, you've got to see them all, and they get the hump if you don't go and see them. So when I do go back, I tend to keep it, really just close family. Yeah. See them, and I go back when I can. But I haven't been back for a little while. But my wife loves the country. My son loves the country. It's a beautiful place.
It's a beautiful country.
I've heard it's beautiful. Yeah,
I've been a couple of times. I've been a couple of times. Croatia.
Well, you'll know. The food's good. The wine's good.
Yeah.
The plum brandy's even better.
Yeah, it's not as cheap as it used to be, but it's still nice.
It's not. It's not. I think obviously once it went into the
Euro,
when you went to the Euro, things changed. But it's still a great place to go.
Oh yeah.
When we were there in the Europa League, when we played Maribor, although that's a little bit further north, I could still speak the language and everything, and it was great there. We did have a little bit of time off. We went around and had a look around there, and it's fabulous. But I go back when I can. But working in football, you try and grab your holidays when you can.
I can imagine. Yeah, I can imagine.
Great. You've got 6-7 weeks off. But you haven't really. You've got a bit of time off. You maybe have two weeks, and then pre-season starts. Then you do the kit photography. Then you do this and all the pre-season stuff. And that sort of 6-7 week period narrows down very, very quickly. So you've only got a small little slot to get away. But I can recommend it to anybody. I'm not working for the tourist or anything like that. But,
no, it is. It's, you don't have to sell it. It's a beautiful country.
The islands.
It's gorgeous, Mick. It's gorgeous. It's really beautiful.
No, I've never been either.
Yeah, no, it's lovely.
Dubrovnik is the place that everybody goes to.
Yeah, I've been there a couple of times.
It's been rebuilt since what they did to it, during the war there.
Yeah,
Dubrovnik's nice, but there's some beautiful islands on the Istrian coast. And
I think it's.
And if you go to the north, for example, it's on the border of Italy, so you can go to Venice for a day. Get a boat, go to Venice, and come back, and it's beautiful.
Last time I went, it must have been quite heartbreaking watching the news unfold and that all took place.
It was, but I'm not dwelling on it too much. Sort of.
No.
Once Tito died, who looked after the country, who was the president of the country, he really sort of held the constituent parts of the country together during his lifetime. And as soon as Tito died, you knew that was going to happen. What a lot of people didn't realise to what extent it would happen. What happened in the end was appalling in many, many ways, but it's slowly getting it back together, and it's becoming a nice place again.
So, Roy, what do you make of the current situation then? Obviously, the last couple of games, obviously we've lost, but before that, we're on a decent little run, and it's a bit of a transitional period, isn't it, at the moment?
Well, not to use a cliche reply, it's work in progress. I mean, 18 months time. We've got some decent players. We're going to lose some games. We're going to win some games. People And this isn't towing the party line or Pravda or anything like that, as people call it. Sometimes it's my own personal opinion. It's a transitional period, and I think you've got to give it time. I mean, look at the players that we've got. You know, those guys aren't going to settle in after 8-9 matches. I know Ato tinkers. He has different people for different games and whatever, and he's trying to find his best players for the correct positions for what he wants to play. And it is work in progress. A lot of it maybe is suck and see what happens. But I think, you know, within sort of 18 months, we'll have a decent side. We've got bloody good players, that's for sure.
Yeah.
And it's just, I mean, like Bournemouth on Saturday, you know, the best team I've seen so far.
Definitely.
Still retained a lot of their Premiership lads. And to be honest, I'm the world's greatest optimist with Blues. I'll back them every day of the week, you know, to get a result. But you look, when I saw the team sheet, I thought, you know, I'll be happy with the point basically. So it is, a lot of it is, and I think the expectations of fans sometimes is a little bit too great, very, very quickly. They've got to maybe have a little bit of understanding, especially with Aitor. He again, like Carla, he's a man with his own mind. He knows exactly what he wants. He's got a pretty good idea how he's going to get it. So is his brother David, who works there as well. You know, they're very focused on what they're trying to do, what they're trying to achieve with the personnel that they've got. Aitor's nobody's fool. He knows. He says what he thinks. He does what he does the way he does it. And might be right, might be wrong, but I think a lot of it is a learning curve for him as well, to how he actually wants to have the team settled in. So I don't know, probably towards the new year, middle of the new year. He's going to need time, and it's a cliche.
So
go on, Nick.
Get stuff like that. We've got a good squad of players, and we can't turn up to like get behind them, if you know what I mean.
That's why I say make a hell of a difference. I mean, you know, against Wickham. I mean, Wickham. The team spirit I noticed when we played Wickham was incredible, and they really grafted for each other. But with the fans there, we'd never have lost that game.
No,
you know, no way we'd lost that game. The players, they certainly work hard. I see most days when I go to the trainer how hard they work in training. That's what people don't see. They'll see the 90 minutes on the pitch, but I see the amount of graft that the lads do in training. I mean, when Aitor first came along, he did 2 sessions. He'd do a morning session, they'd have lunch, do a bit of gym work, and do an afternoon session. The olden days, if you like, lads turn up at 10:30, train till 12:30, go home. With Aitor, it's a couple of sessions or what he thinks is required at the time.
Sorry, Roy, is that different to last season?
To last season,
different setup.
With Pep, it was more of a full morning's training, and that was it. Occasionally, he would have them in the afternoon, but generally, from that period of time, it was really just as I say, the standard, 10:30, 12:30, bit of gym work, and then you're done for the day. Aitor's approach is slightly different, and the lads never moan, they don't complain, and they get on with it. And they were, and this is not again, towing the party line. I see it every time I'm there. They work bloody hard.
And from sorry, Roy, from your own personal opinion, has that team spirit improved since last season, or is it has it always been there?
You've got virtually you've got a completely different team. The Spanish lads talk to each other in Spanish. I talk to Sunic in Croatian, which absolutely baffles everybody what the hell I'm saying to them and all that sort of stuff. Not that there's cliques or anything like that, but the team spirit, he's fine. It doesn't matter who they are, whether they're from Spain, whether they're from Croatia. The bunch of lads we've got get on very, very well, and that's not Pravda talking, that's fact.
Paul, have we got any of the official questions left? Because there's hundreds now on the share
official
box.
Questions.
there's hundreds on here.
Official questions.
The questions from in the week we'll start with, and then we'll go with a few live ones, shall we, Chris?
Yeah. There's
I'll do the ones from in the week, and then you can do some live ones if you want.
Sure.
So Stephen Gill's asking, what was your first photo for Blues, and who was it against?
Well, first photo.
Yeah.
Well,
have you got it? You've probably got it in you.
I've got it. I haven't got it here. I've got it at my mother's house. I said it was, I think, when Joe Gallagher scored the goals. That was the first photo.
Yeah.
It was on black and white negative. And in those days, you never knew what you had until you developed the negative. I mean, today, you can see instantaneously what you've got a photograph of, and photography's changed by all recognition, really. But
Yeah.
I think the first one was, probably Joe Gallagher's goal.
Yeah. And Trevor John Smith saying, great bloke. Loved it when you took a picture of my dad's sister and myself with the Carling Cup down the Blues. And I can, yeah.
Thanks for that.
And what was your and again, Trevor John Smith, what was your favourite photo you took at a Blues away game?
Favourite one at an away game? Two, really. Well, three when I think about it. The first one was Woody's goal in Bruges.
Yeah.
Very, very basic photograph. I look at it and I think it's what I call a man kicks ball photograph. But I think it was just the case when you watch the actual goal in real time, the cross comes over and Woody sort of hits it in a split second. I mean, it's less than a second. And I managed to get it just as the ball's leaving his foot, and the significance of the goal at that time, because at that time, I seem to remember Bruges had never lost to a British club in any form of European competition.
Yeah.
So the significance, I think Man United have equalled that recently. I'm not sure, but certainly at that time, Blues were the first team to beat Bruges.
Yeah.
In Bruges, in any form of European competition. So it's the significance of that. The other favourite one was Dugarry's back heel in Barnsley. When he scored the goal with his back heel. And funny enough...
Charlton
away,
Charlton away. And the other one was Peter Unlove, Norwich. I think it was the Coca-Cola Cup then. Again, he did a little cheeky back heel and scored. And again, it happened in a fraction of a second. And I got that as well. But then again, that was on negative. So I didn't know till I got back to the Evening Mail and processed my negatives that I'd actually got it. So those are really sort of my three favourite ones that sort of spring to mind. And especially,
did you do like a little jig in the office? Oh, yes, look at that one.
Yeah, sometimes I think bloody hell, because the attitude with a lot of photographers, they always say, if you see it through the lens, you haven't got it. And I saw it, got it. So I was really, especially sort of Christoph's, at Charlton, the back heel one. The other favourite one, the recent one, I've got to go, and this is not jumping on the Jude Bellingham bandwagon, but he's obviously his first goal against Stoke, and got that literally as it's leaving his foot. But the position I was in at the ground, to this day, I don't think anyone else has got a photograph of it, because I get to see a lot of the photographs from the games, obviously afterwards, and all the other lads were at the other end, and there was quite a group of players between them and Jude hitting the ball. But where I sat, I didn't have a terribly clear shot, but he was clear enough to get it. And it was really special for me as well. My son was covering the game, and he helps me when he's in this country. And he got a nice wide shot of it as well. And virtually the two pictures were taken virtually at the same split second. So I've got a wide of Jude scoring, and I've got a close-up one of Jude scoring. So that's, I think, from, again, Birmingham history point of view. That was good. I got one of John McCarthy again, that springs to mind. We were playing at St Andrews, we were playing Bradford, and he was charging down the ring, and I can't remember who tackled him, but he literally went right through him, and Macca went about 4 feet up in the air, so he looked like Superman flying through the air. I've got it just as he's sort of, if you like, sort of reaching out like that, doing his Superman bit in midair. And those are the ones that spring to mind straight away.
Michael Woods is asking, what is the most controversial photo you've ever taken?
Most controversial photo? Oh, my word. I'm trying to think of who we played. And again, I think Peter Unlove. It's Peter Unlove. One of the lads got sent off for a foul. And I think it was a straight red. But my photograph showed that, I'm trying to think of the player. He actually did get to the ball first. And our secretary at the time, Alan Jones, said, Roy, did you get a photograph of that? I said, yeah, I'll have a look. But I've actually got him, because there's a sequence of 3 photographs of him actually getting the ball before the player went flying through the air. And they used that as evidence at an FA panel or whatever it was. And they rescinded the red card, because you could clearly see. I'm sure it was Peter Unlove. I could be wrong.
You invented VAR then?
It's your fault.
Blind. No, but Alan said to me, he said from where Alan was sitting, and Alan was our club secretary at the time. He said, I saw that from here. He got the ball. I said, well, he got the ball because I saw it through my lens. And
was that against Huddersfield when we should have had a penalty and it wasn't given? He was sent off for diving.
Yeah,
second yellow.
Yeah, I think it was. Yeah, but he got the ball. I'm sure it was. But they used the photograph in evidence, and whoever it was on the panel at the FA or wherever it was, they said, "Oh yeah, well, he's obviously got the ball because you can see the full sequence of his foot getting through the ball before he went flying through the air." And they rescinded.
I remember it. He was sent off. It was a second yellow card. He got sent off for diving, and
so that's most controversial. I'm glad it helped, really.
Yeah. And finally, for the question. So, go on, Nick.
Sorry, Nick.
And look, a normal championship game, a run of the mill, how many photographers would normally be at the game?
Well, with the COVID restrictions now, each club,
put that aside. Yeah.
It depends. You get. I'd probably say at St Andrews, you'd probably get between 8 and 12 on a normal game. With COVID, we're only allowed between 6 and 8 photographers.
Right, got you.
To come in. So it upsets a lot of the boys. It upsets a lot of the agencies.
I've just missed one thing. Carl Newton, a friend of the show. We've had him on a few times. He just said, hello, Ryan. Thanks for all the help and support so far in my journey to becoming a pro sports photographer.
Yeah, I know Carl well, and he's a good lad. He's a very talented lad.
Yeah, he is.
And I try and help him with advice and whatever, as I would do anybody. Anybody's can contact me if they're doing photography. I'll try and help them along, give them a bit of advice. It's up to them what they do with it. But Carl's a talented lad, and the one good thing he's got perseverance, and he's starting at the right level. He's doing all sorts of stuff and learning, which you've got to do, because today, sometimes I always say, there's a lot of people with cameras walking around, but there's very few photographers. If you know what I mean?
Well, we've all got, we've all got cameras.
He's learning the trade. I think he does a bit at Redditch. I think he does a bit at Moseley Cricket, which is great, and that's the way you're going to learn. But it's by doing it, screwing it up, doing it again. But when you've screwed it up, you look at it and you think, well, I've done this wrong, or I've done that wrong, and learning from it. And as I say, people want to ask me, I'll help them as best I can. And Carl's a good lad.
Fantastic. Any more questions, Paul?
So there's a few live ones coming in.
Okay.
So going on to the controversial ones. Adam Wilkes is pointing out the doubling on Savage headbutt. Did you take that picture?
I did, from not the one that's used. I've got it from really sort of from the Blues end, if you like, where I've got a shot of it, but it's not the clearest angle. And how did that work when back in them times? Obviously, when we played them and we're at their ground, are you having to sort of sit in front? You have to go all around the pitch, aren't you, from all angles? So the one courtesy that away clubs offer, which is a great thing. You can sit in front of your own fans. Obviously, if you score, the players will run towards the fans and celebrate. So you can generally sit in front of your own fans. And really, what I tend to do, what I have to do, is always cover our attack. So wherever we are, whatever ground we're at, I'm always covering the attack. And then, sadly, if it's in front of the Holt end, it's in front of the Holt end, and kick towards the Holt end. So
what I mean,
that must be awful. That must be awful.
So you do it. The one thing I don't do is wear any sort of blues regalia or anything like those days. But I do have a little badge underneath my jacket.
Yeah, of course. Jackie wants to know, Roy, do you prefer the old style film roll cameras or the new digital way? It's not been around long.
That's a very good question. The current cameras are a way of life. They're getting better, faster. From the creative point of view, I prefer the older ways. Not necessarily the best ways now, but you can't hold progress, and progress now is digital. They're getting faster, quicker. Personally, I prefer developing the negatives. People can't believe when I say to them now, when I first really sort of started, you buy a roll of film, people say, well, what's a roll of film? I said, you can only take 36 exposures on it.
That's true. Yeah.
And they can't believe that now on an iPhone, no, my son knows better than I. You can take a burst of 36 pictures.
That's right,
When I was doing the ladies yesterday, quick little story. There was a young lad who was getting an apprenticeship for one of the photo agencies, and he's got one of these the new trend now is mirrorless cameras. They don't have a shutter, so basically you can take. God blimey, I can't remember what he said. He said he goes to a maximum of 20 frames a second because it hasn't got a shutter. And he said, well, I don't need 20, 15 will do for me. And I said, well, in the olden days, you had to take a picture before motor drives, wind it on, take another one, wind it on, take another one. And then motor drives came out and you could go mad and take 3 frames a second. And then the motor drives came out, you could take 5 frames a second. So, he's saying, well, this one takes 20 frames a second. And I feel like saying, well, how are you going to miss? How are you going to miss anything? You're taking a movie.
You're taking a movie, basically, yeah.
And then when you see 20 shots all in a line, you just pull the one out.
Just one thing I've missed. So Mick Sherry's saying, remind Roy about the time v Huddersfield in around 2000, I think. He was sat over by the corner of the Tilton main stand. The ball ended up over in that corner and still in play, and it stopped dead. And no one seemed to be going for it, so you decided to get up and kick it back to the goalkeeper.
Well, oh God, yeah, I knew that would come back to haunt me one day. That was 2 of my sort of, I suppose, greatest hits. The other one I mentioned earlier on against Wolves when I fell over, but people remind me of that. That was quite interesting because at that time you could sit on the pitch. Now we have to sit behind the advertising hoardings, but then the photographers were allowed to sit on the pitch, and I was sort of sitting there and. I could have sworn the ref blew for something. The ball was coming towards me, and their goalie was sort of mucking around and trying to waste a bit of time. So I thought, well, I'll give him the ball back, get on with the game, because we were looking to score or whatever. So I just walked on the pitch and sort of kicked him the ball back. The place went far me, and the ref thought. I saw the ref came over and he sort of looked at me. He said, "What you do that for?" I said, "Well, I thought you'd blown." He said, "I hadn't." He said, "The problem I've got now, I don't know what to do." He said, I think he gave a drop ball, I think.
Yeah.
And I thought,
I bet that goalkeeper, that goalkeeper was probably Nico Vasson as well, wasn't it?
Could well have been. Yeah, could well have been.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And I thought, I'm in the proverbial now. What's going to happen now? I thought, I'm going to get a lot of grief. So I went up there. I went upstairs afterwards. Did a little bit of work, and then I went down to the changing rooms and I rang my wife. And I said, I think I'm in a little bit of trouble. She said, "Well, what have you done?" And I told her, and the papers wanted to get hold of me. Rossi wanted to get hold of me. What happened? And I thought the safest place I can be is in the home changing room. So I sat in the home changing room for an hour till everybody had gone. I thought, brilliant. It's died down a bit. The press that were there wanted to interview me to find out what went on. And next day, fortunately, I thought I had to go to work in London. So I drove down to London. I thought I'm away from it. And I picked up a lot of the papers and I was flicking through, and all the blooming papers named me by name and what happened.
Oh, no.
And it was all in print. But the funniest thing about it all was the manager at the time. I can't remember who he was. But one of the quotes he said, the way he kicked the ball back and the way he curved it, I felt like signing him. I thought that was quite funny. That was a good memory. But I think it was on Question of Sport at one point as well. What happened next? He made Question of Sport, but
did he? I missed that.
He was on the one happened next. And that I was so embarrassed. But next day, all the major papers named me by name.
Oh, right, okay.
But Rossi got hold of me in the end in London. He said, "Roy, could I have a little bit of an exclusive?" And I said, "Just ring me and I'll tell you what happened." And everybody had a good laugh at it. But I thought their gaffer was brilliant with that quote.
Brilliant.
Have you still got the press cuttings from that, Roy?
Somewhere at my mum's house. Yeah. I don't normally keep this sort of stuff. Like if my mum sees them, she always used to like having stuff like that. So it was more out of embarrassment. It was just something I wanted to forget, really. But I generally thought he'd blown for something, and I thought, let's get the game out. I'll just kick the ball back to the goal. Let's get on with it. Trevor had to laugh about it afterwards, and it was quite funny. But I said the other one was when on live TV when I fell over, as I said earlier on, against Wolves. And Still get reminded of that continuously.
And back in the days when you could sit, well, obviously at pitch side without having to sit behind the advertisement boards. I bet you had to dive out the way a few times. Then, if you hadn't already been whacked ball?
God, I've been hit. I've been hit a couple of times. Two memorable ones. We were at Reading, the old Reading ground, and I'm trying to think who took the free kick. I think Skip Martin O'Connor took the free kick, and it hit the wall, but it hit it with such ferocity that it hit me smack in the face. And I'm looking down, but it actually hit my lens. The lens pushed back into my face. The back of my camera hit my nose, and suddenly, I'm sort of saying this blood is just pouring out of my nose. So I remember that one specifically. The other one was, again, mentioning John McCarthy. We were at QPR, and the way Macca used to run down the wing, he'd just go for it. He rode a tackle, but it's so tight at Loftus Road where you sit on the edge of the pitch. His momentum took him straight into me and knocked me flying. And that's how it is. I sat up and I thought, what's that? And I sort of felt the back of my tooth, and I pulled my tooth out. I always said to Mac after this, you owe me a few quid for my dental, and I took my tooth home. Again, blood and everything. I thought, oh God, what do I do now?
There isn't a tooth fairy, Roy. I don't know if you know.
No, there is a one. I certainly wasn't that.
Right, okay.
You look back on it, you think, it's great, but I've been hit in the face by the ball more times than I can remember, really, and it's just part of the job, really.
Yeah. And a good live question coming in from Pete Taylor. He's asking, is there an iconic moment that you regret not getting a shot of?
Iconic moment? Not
Great question. Great question.
Really good question. I'm not bigging myself up. Not really. I can't really say that. I usually tend to say to people, if I see it, I get it, or I try and get it, 99% of the time. If I can see it, the players don't get in the way. The referee doesn't get in the way. The linos don't get in the way. Generally, so no, not really. I can't really think of one I can say, well, crikey, I wish I'd taken that one.
Maybe Tyler Blackett taking a throw in properly.
Oh, blimey. Yeah.
James Wright Titch has just asked, have the players pulled any good pranks on you?
Not really. We all have a good laugh. I said the Roger Johnson incident. No, not really. I think more than anything, they take the mick more than pull pranks. So there's always some
right. I think you said the Roger. Sorry, Roy. I think you said the Roger Johnson one before we came live, though. So it was in the changing room, wasn't it? After we won the Carling Cup.
Yeah, we won the Carling Cup, and all the lads are having a good time, and the champagne comes out, and everybody's having a drink and getting some nice pictures of the lads holding the cup and everything. And for people, obviously, everybody remembers the day. It wasn't the driest day on earth, so I wore this sort of really, thickish coat with a hood on it. So I'm taking pictures of the lads in front of me holding the cup and celebrating, Ziggy holding the cup, celebrating. Unbeknown to me, and this apparently went out, they cut to a live changing room shot on Sky. Roger Johnson, these big bottles of champagne that players get after the winning something. You've seen them, I think the Magnums or whatever. Roger Johnson decides to empty this Magnum champagne into my hood. And I said to the lads when they won, one thing, don't squirt the champagne at me because it stings. Champagne in your eyes really, really stings. But more importantly, it gets on your gear and it's sticky. And, when you've got a £3,000-4,000 camera, last thing you want is gallons of champagne on it because it does cause some damage. But Rog poured this half a magnum of champagne in my hood. And as I'm taking pictures, he pulled the hood right over my head. So it just went everywhere. And I said earlier on, I don't normally get cross, and you cope with the banter and the jokes, but I was actually quite annoyed. And I mentioned it to Roger the other day because he was there the other day, and we laugh about it now. But I was absolutely livid. But the story with that, because it was in my eyes, and I picked up what I thought was a cloth or a towel, and I sort of wiped my eyes over it, and I wiped the camera sort of squinting with it, and I just put it in my pocket. And I thought I'll use that later on if I get any more champagne squirts. So I got back to the hotel, and my wife said, she said, take that jacket off, it's soaked. So I thought, I've got a cloth. And I pulled it out, and it was Stephen Carr's shirt from the game. And I thought, Carr's going to think I nicked his shirt. And I thought, how the bloody hell did I do that, And I mopped it, and I rang him straight away. I said, Steve, I haven't nicked your shirt, mate. I've picked it up by accident to wash me lens down and wash my camera down and everything. He said, don't worry about it. I think he actually said you can have it if you want it, but I said, no, that's something you've got to have. And I said, when I see it tomorrow, I'll bring it back for you. But yeah, that was it's more not so much pranks really, but it's more banter and jokes, and depending what you're wearing or what you're not wearing, or they enjoy taking the mickey.
Yeah.
Sorry, that was a very long answer to a very short question.
That's okay.
All right.
I've got a question.
Go on then.
Yeah, far away, Mark.
I was just going to say, Roy, is there any sort of stadium in the world you'd love to go to take some photos?
Any stadium in the world? Oh my word! I'm a big American football fan, and I used to do a little bit of American football photography.
They don't play with the feet.
Yeah, I know those both. So I think I'd like to see something like the Dallas Cowboys' new stadium, or the new Raiders stadium. I suppose I'd like to go to Madrid. I think the classic ones. Take pictures there. Barcelona, more classic grounds rather than sort of the newer grounds. But I think probably sort of Real Madrid or something like that. I'd like to do sort of Real Madrid, Barcelona.
I did a tour of Barcelona, Roy.
Yeah.
So again,
Yeah, I've done that.
I did the Barcelona around the stadium.
I've been to Barcelona several times, and for whatever reason, I've never been to the ground. And I've missed out.
I stood in their ground, and I promise you, I sang "Keep Right On" to the end of the road.
Did you?
Start to finish.
Yeah, because apparently, I love the history. That apparently they're meant to have an incredible museum there with everything.
Unbelievable, absolutely. Do you know what? There was probably 10,000 people there on the day I was there.
Really?
There wasn't the game on.
They've got a cathedral in there as well, haven't they?
Oh, they've got everything, man.
Crazy.
Everything.
Mm.
And of course, it said, quite clearly, you must not sit on the manager's seats.
There's a question. Sorry, Chris. There's a question coming in from Dave Twine. He's asking, did you meet Muhammad Ali in a lift?
I did. Yeah, oh blimey, yes, I did. Try and narrow it down, but I went to the Super Bowl in Atlanta, and with another photographer friend of mine, and we went out on the Friday in Atlanta. I won't beat around the bush. We'd had a few. Staggered back, and next morning, my pal, we didn't share the room. He had his own room, and he sent me a note up. He said, "I've already come down for breakfast. I'll wait for you by the lift." So we stopped. I can't know. It was something like the Atlanta Hilton, but there was like God knows how many floors, 40 floors or something like that. So I get in the lift, and incredibly hungover. So I go down like 2 floors, and the lift opens, and Muhammad Ali walks in. And one of those surreal moments, you think, am I still really drunk, and this is a dream, or is this really happening? And it's Muhammad Ali, 6 inches away from me. So I said, "Mr. Ali, pardon me asking, one thing I don't really ask for autographs or anything like that, but I said, I'm from Birmingham, England. Do you remember coming over to open the Muhammad Ali Centre, which if you remember, he did. I mean, he came to the ground, if you remember as well.
Yeah, it's in the photos.
Yeah. We started. He actually remembered it. He said, "Yeah, I remember coming over." So
I was there.
Yeah, Muhammad Ali Centre, and we were talking down, and I said I was from Birmingham, and we had a little chat. But he had like a little folder, and he had his preachings folders and stuff like that, which he said, "I want to give you this." And I said, "Could I get an autograph?" He said, "I'll sign it on this for you." And he was a nice little booklet, which he signed. He put a little poem in for me as well and signed it while we were in the lift. He said, "I want you to have that." And as we got out, my mate, fortunately, had his camera with him. And I said, Mr. Ali, I don't normally ask for photos, but is there any chance to go for it? He said, "Absolutely not a problem." He was as nice as anything. That's when I took a picture of him punching me under the chin, because I'm a big boxing fan as well.
Yeah.
I thought, oh God, that's great. And about, I can't remember, 6-7 years ago, I met Joe Frazier at the NEC, and I had a picture with him. So in my day, like a lot of people my age, the fights then were the Ali Frazier game fights, and to met both of them was just fantastic. But Ali was top class, absolutely top class, and he was in a lift, in Atlanta.
What an amazing story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought
Brilliant.
The other one.
I had something similar myself. I was at Chelsea's ground of all places with work,
Yeah.
Usain Bolt. I've got my photo of Usain Bolt.
Yeah. But you know, when things like that happen, there's certain people.
Signal went there.
You're back.
You know, there's certain people that you think, oh, you know, you admire, that you see, that you've grown up with, and you've seen do great things. So if you're lucky, actually, you know, to meet them, you think, I will have a photograph. I will ask for an autograph. So on my Twitter thing, I've got a thing with Pele, and I've been, again, lucky's an overused word, but I've met a lot of the world's greatest players over the years. Never met Pele. Got a chance to meet Pele, and I thought, well, you've got to grab it, haven't you, really?
Yeah, of course.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
What about Maradona? Have you met Maradona?
I've never met Maradona. I've seen him. I've seen him at a distance, but never really sort of met him. But most of the top players over the years. You know, Luca, when he was at Spurs, I know, you know, Modric is Modric, because being a fellow countryman, you got to meet him. You know, when you say to people, you know, Modric has played at St Andrews, Van Nistelrooy's played at St Andrews, all the great players that Ronaldo's played at St Andrews, people think, are you sure? I said, yeah, they've all played there. And I
Don't forget you have as well, though, Roy.
Say again.
Don't forget you have as well, though.
Oh,
Only been one kick of the ball, mate, but you were certainly in the game.
Yeah, I did actually. I turned up for one of the only time I've played. We had a charity game again, one of Tom Ross's legendary get-togethers, and play on the pitch. And I came on for the last 10 minutes, and I've kept the boots that I played in. I've got the complete kit, and I'm proud of it. As anything else. My 10 minutes.
Quick question from Pete Taylor. The question for Roy: Hollands or Pucker pies?
Oh, Pucker.
Gotta be.
Yeah.
Pucker pies.
Does anybody like Hollands? Does anybody like Hollands?
No.
It's not a pie.
No.
It's not a pie, is it?
But whoever makes the pies at Walsall, that's got to be one of my favourite pies. The Balti pies at Walsall.
Balti pies at Walsall. Yeah.
Legendary.
Balti pie is wrong.
No, they're not. We're not going to have this conversation again. No.
The catering has improved a lot of grounds.
Yeah.
Some of them still fall a bit short, but no, you know, a Pucker pie's a Pucker pie.
Have you got a favourite away ground, Roy?
Favourite away ground? I actually enjoy, strangely enough, I enjoy going to Norwich, although it's a hell of a long way. People there, fabulous, look after you.
Where was that, Roy? Sorry?
Norwich, Carrow Road.
Norwich, yeah.
Yeah, I enjoy going to Newcastle. These places are so bloody far away. Newcastle is great. They look after you there.
Yeah, I like it there.
And I've got to say, since we played Swansea, Swansea are absolutely top notch. Again, the staff there can't do enough for you. They look after you. They feed you. They give you tea. Nothing's too much trouble. So really, those are the three that sort of spring to mind. But for some reason, you know, I've always liked going to Norwich because of the people there really look after you, and I say nothing's too much trouble.
Excellent. Pete Taylor said Roy is a Balti pie lover, therefore he is now an absolute legend.
Here's one from Aaron. He says, has Roy ever drank the beer at St Andrews? Just wondering when he's coming back to the safe for a pint of tribute. He'll know what you mean.
Oh, yeah. I enjoy a pint of tribute. I never drink when I'm at St Andrews because one rule I have, I never drink before I work. Obviously, during. Occasionally, I'll have a drink afterwards, but it's just a little discipline that I have. And so I might have autofocus on my camera, but I've still got to point it in the right direction. So no, I'll save that, you know, for after work. Really.
Now, here's a couple of questions here because I missed the first one, and it was: has anybody refused to have their photograph taken by yourself?
Refused? No.
No.
No, it's a lot of it is how you treat people, and especially with the blues players. Even I've had difficult non-football players, if you like, more so than footballers. But if you treat them right, and you've got a job to do, and most people are always, especially again footballers, celebrities, whatever the hell you want to call them, they don't have much time. So you've got to work very, very quickly. You be polite. You tell them what you want. You get the job done and you get the hell out. You're doing them a favour by doing it quickly, and you do.
And have you ever refused to take someone's photograph?
Yes, I have. Yeah. Not a player, but in corporate hospitality at St Andrews, I had one guy a few years ago, and I'm always happy to take a photograph for anybody. You know, you guys know that.
Yeah.
Yeah. we were in the Jasper suite, and some guy was at a table, and he was snapping his fingers at me. And I thought, that's a bit strong. I walked down, he kept going, like that, gesturing like
God.
that. And I said, yes, but
I hope he's listening.
Yeah.
I don't know. I can't remember who it was, but said,
You're not a waiter.
No. I said, why? So you talking to? I literally virtually said that. He said, I'm not the waiter, I'm the photographer. I said, what can I do for you? He said, when the man of the match comes up, make sure you bring him to my table and I have a photograph. And I said, well, if you'd asked me nicely or with a little bit of respect, a bit of decency, that wouldn't have been a problem. But as you thought I was a dog, the way he was gesticulating with me, I'm not going to do it. And I said, I'll be quite honest. I said, if you do that again, I say what I was going to do to him, but I said, I'm not a dog.
Was he a player, or was he a player, or?
No, he was a guest. He was a guest of the club.
Yeah, okay.
But as far as players go, no, nobody said you can't take a picture, because you earn over so many years, you get to know the guys really well, and they know the biggest thing really. They know they can trust you, because they know you're not going to stitch them up. So if you want a slightly quirky photograph, they're more than happy to do it. It takes a long time to get, especially a footballer's trust.
Yeah.
Because they get asked by so many people to do photographs, and they want you to do this. I mean, I used to love all the old, you guys will remember this, the old quirky pictures from the World Cups, when we went to Spain and they'd put sombreros on the England players' heads, all that sort of stuff. Or
me and Nick will remember that.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We may have played France, so they'll stick a beret on Kevin Keegan and stereotype on him drowned and all that. I used to love all those. I mean, those things you can't do anymore. And to be honest, there's no really need to do them. But if you're polite and the guys know you're not going to stitch them up, then most of them will do anything you want.
Good question here from Graham Haynes. He's asking if any.
I was going to read that one.
Any footballers ever asked you to do their wedding?
Yes.
Really?
Yes. Yeah. Can't tell you which ones, but yes, I've done two players' weddings.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good stuff.
We won't ask.
Okay, so we've asked you, Roy, haven't we? You're unconscious now. We're an hour in already. We've actually to pick
hopefully the people are still awake.
11, haven't we? You 1 to 11.
Say again, sorry.
We've asked you to pick your 1 to 11, haven't we? From the players that you've watched over the years for us. So if you are we okay to fire with that? No,
Yeah. That's great. Good timing. Yeah, good timing. Yeah. Fire away then.
Fire away.
Well, in goal I got Fozzie, Foster. Yeah. My sort of back four: Granger, Joe Gallagher, Kenny Cunningham, Stevie Carr.
Yeah.
Barry Ferguson. I've got to put Jude in for many, many reasons. In front of them, Christoph, the forward line of Latchford, Trevor, and Super Kev, Kevin Phillips.
Super Kev. Yeah.
What a team!
That's a
Which
great
I
team.
think,
Yeah.
when and I've photographed, seen a lot, obviously, from the 70s or 80s, but I think, I'm looking at that and I think they do all right.
Yeah, I think they would. And who would be captain?
Stevie Carr.
Stephen Carr, yeah.
Yeah, because Stevie was the epitome of what a captain should be. And a Kenny Cunningham as well. They had a belief and just get in there and do what you got to do. And Stevie didn't muck around.
He's never talked about as one of the comeback stories, is he, in football, Stephen Carr? People forget he'd actually retired.
He come out of retirement.
And then he came out of retirement to play for us.
Yeah, he came to do us.
Cup.
Yeah, at the end of the day, he came in to help us out and do us a favour.
Yeah.
And he lifted the
crazy.
cup. And I think where is he now? I think he's gone to Marbella or something. He's got a
Spain,
He's got a bar in Marbella or something like that. But Stevie was a great motivator. Some of the speeches I heard him say, and some of the great pictures, the famous picture of him at Villa walking off, gesticulating, shall we say? Said it really. So start up Stevie. But I think, looking at the team, people say, oh, Roy's jumping on the Jude Bellingham, bandwagon. But I'm not really, because I've seen Jude play at all age groups. I'm looking up to do the games when he was a lot younger, and you see some of the stuff he did, some of the goals he scored. And you think, certain people you look at, you think, this kid's got it, and I'm not proving wrong. And even we just before the start of last season, I think we were at Portman Road at Ipswich, and he played in that game, and he got the ball on the halfway line, ran towards the goal, beat 4 players, put 2 of them on their arse. Sorry, put them on the backside, on
the bottom,
skipped the ball over.
10 quid.
Just ran rings round them. Had a shot, just missed, and you think, And I just sat there looking through my lens. I actually didn't take the photographs of that sequence, and I just admired what this young lad can do. And
he's going right to the top, isn't he? He's going to be.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's why I put him. That's why I put him. Not because I said I'm not jumping on the league and bandwagon, but I've seen him at all age groups, and some of the goals he scored when he was a lot younger and at the training ground. You think, crikey, O'Reilly, this kid is.
Well, it says it all when you got somebody like Trevor Francis sort of raving about him.
Oh yeah,
that says it all, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So do you think it was without starting a massive debate, Roy? Do you think it was the right thing to do to retire his number 22 shirt then?
That wasn't down to me. That was the decision of the club. And you've got to respect the decision of the club, really. What I think about it is irrelevant, really. It's happened, and that's not really, down to me. I think the one person, I will make a comment, the one person that they should have retired the shirt of was Kerris Harrop from the ladies' team. And you look at the years that Kerris was there and what she did for the club, not just on the pitch, but as captain, all the years she did. And all the stuff she did outside of the club, for the club. She'd do coaching clinics everywhere, down by me, all around the Midlands. A lot of them were off her own bat. She'd do exactly what she ever could to encourage girls to play football, get them to follow Birmingham City, encourage them to come down to Birmingham City. She used to do an annual tournament at the old ladies training ground in Solihull. She organised all that. She got all these schoolgirl teams to come in. She did that year after year. And I was sad when she left, but if anybody's shirt that should have retired, should have been Kerris's, really.
Cool.
Great.
Cool. Richard Whitehouse says, thanks for my son's pictures when he was a mascot 10 years ago now. What a night for my family.
Pleasure.
Lovely.
Pleasure.
Great how these people remember all these things.
Oh, it is.
Fantastic. Really is.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking off air earlier about the Carling Cup sessions, and like I say, my lad's 13 now, but that picture we had with me, him, and the cup. Just really happy.
I took so many pictures, but what I tried to do was when we had the open days with the cup, when I said we had these lunches with the cup, I tried to, anybody who wanted one, I did a photograph for, because I knew, especially as a fan, what it means. It meant a lot to me. I mean, the pictures I've got of me and my son with the Carling Cup, which my sister at the time sort of took for me, I treasure those. So I've got the same feeling as you have with the ones for yours. I held the Carling Cup hundreds of times, after we won it, hundreds of pictures with people. But the picture with me and my son, who, how old would he have been then? Oh, blimey, he would have been about 12, something like that. Mean a lot to me. So and you try and do as much as you can for you can, because I say the fans are the important thing. You try and help the fans. Some of them sadly do take the mick. The more you do for them, and the more they want. But that's a fact of life. But if anybody wants a photograph, especially with the Carling Cup, you try and do it.
You took one of me many years ago.
Yeah.
many years ago. Do you remember when we used to do the £1,000 half-time thing?
Yeah, I do remember that with Bob Matthews.
Yeah.
Oh, I haven't heard this for ages.
I won it, and I've got a photograph here of the photograph that you took of me having the cheque presented.
Oh, right. Okay.
Who presented you with the cheque? Was it Bob?
Yes, it was. And then at the end of the season, Bob, lovely man.
That was a great bloke.
He organised, the big cheque, the big plastic cheque.
Yeah.
He organised Trevor Francis, Karen Brady, everybody to sign it.
Yeah.
And then called me round. I'll go and fetch it.
Yeah.
Yeah, go for it.
Go for it.
Go for it, yeah.
My shorts.
Adam wants to know, have any of your photos been used for Spot the Ball, Roy?
Spot the ball.
Spot the ball. There's a blast from the past.
There are not many that could be used for Spot the Ball.
Oh, yeah. Sunday Montreal.
No.
There we go, guys.
Oh, look at that. Yeah,
yeah,
blimey,
yeah.
O'Reilly. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Why have you got it framed up?
Yeah, why haven't you got it framed, Nick?
I'm
come on,
just doing it, Chris.
Oh, right, okay. Yeah.
It got
That's
lost.
brilliant.
My wife moved out not so long ago, and they found it up the loft. So I've now got it back.
Yeah, get it framed, if anything, to protect the signatures, because
Yeah.
They don't last forever, do they?
Yeah, I remember that. I remember Bob. I think one of the best presentations we did. We played Stoke, and his wife Stanley Matthews was alive. And I said to Bob, I said, "Do you realise Stanley Matthews is here?" He said, "He's." I said, "He's up there." So why don't you get him to do the half time? And I said jokingly, "Why don't you get somebody's bring him down, he can do the halftime check presentation. He said, no, you wouldn't do that. I said, well, if you don't ask, you don't get. Again, cut a long story short, somebody went up and said to Stanley Matthews, do you mind coming down and do a bit of an interview? You know, the star of the day, if you like. I think we call it star of the day now.
Yeah.
And believe it or not, he came down, did the presentations, did the draw, absolutely brilliant. And it's great photos. Just
That's
Stanley
fantastic.
Matthews presenting a check or whatever it was, you know, at the time. And Bob was made up. And I said, well, if you don't ask, you don't get. And he was more than happy to do it.
Yeah. This is a really nice comment. Can I just say, Tony Sewell just says, every week I think you can't get a better show, and you do.
Well,
Right on, bro. Roy took mine and it's clicked off my screen. Sorry, won't be a second. Roy took mine and Tina's picture for our 10th wedding anniversary and her 40th. Tina got the photo signed by man of the match, Jack Butland, saying happy birthday. How about that?
Fantastic.
well, yeah.
Very good. Very good.
You try and you do the photos, and usually you send the photos to to the fans or whatever. But if I can get it signed before I send it, I always try, because I know how much it means for especially the mascots, the little kids. They get their picture. I don't know with Dukey, and Dukey has signed it, to Freddie. Best wishes, Dukey. So, you've got the picture, but then if Dukey's actually signed it, it means a lot. And I know what it was like, because I remember when I was. Oh, blimey, when I was quite young, I wrote in and they sent me an autograph sheet. And I was chuffed to bits. Remember the autograph sheets that the clubs...
I've got one, yeah.
You must have had some. And and to this day, crikey, 45 years later, I remember, and I've still got it, an autograph sheet. And it just think, well, crikey, O'Reilly. So if a fan gets a signed photograph, it's no big deal if you can get it done and get it signed. That's great, and it means a lot to them. It means a lot to me, because I know they're going to get great joy out of it, really.
Yeah. Question from Stephen Gill earlier, Roy. He's asked what's your proudest moment as a photographer?
What, football or in general?
You could do both if you like, if there's two.
Proudest, I think doing the club photographer for the Europa League games.
Yeah.
Which was, as I said to you, I always wanted in my lifetime was to see Birmingham at Wembley win a major competition against a major team, which we did against Arsenal. But to do the whole Europa League and actually have Birmingham City playing Europe, especially the games there, everywhere we went, Braga, Maribor, obviously Bruges. The Bruges experience was phenomenal. Never forget that. Out of football, I suppose I'm a big Bruce Springsteen fan. Photographed him lots of times.
Yeah.
And because I said, initially I wanted to be a music photographer, really. That was sort of my first passion. Big Bruce fan.
That's you and Tom. You and Tom Ross are both.
Tom's mad. Tom's actually been lucky enough, I think about a year ago, when maybe 2 years now, Springsteen's autobiography came out. Yep. And he somehow managed to get a ticket to meet him in London.
You met him, I've seen the photo.
And a photo.
Yeah, I've seen that photo.
He managed to get a photo of him. But good. I'm delighted for Tom. Absolutely brilliant. So but I think the whole Europa League trip, to be quite honest with you, will always stay with me. My son couldn't go because he was obviously quite young at the time. But I'm hoping if it happens again, he can do it. He doesn't want to do photography because he's at university in Japan and he's got his own agenda, what he wants to do. But he is a good photographer. So when he comes over, especially with COVID, he came back in sort of February for his sort of spring break. And he's been here for 9 months, so he comes along and helps him. But he's a very good photographer, and I hope that when I'm a bit older and greyer and can't lift up a camera, that if we do get to Europe, he gets the experience that I did.
Yeah.
I mean, did you ever play football, Roy? Did you play football yourself?
Yes, I did. Yeah, I did a bit at Birmingham schools because I grew up in Walsall Heath, so we played Birmingham schools football, and I was a winger. Before I was 15 and a half stone and looked like a wreck. I was quite fit. I used to run. I used to run marathons and all that sort of stuff. So I was sort of quite fit. And when I was younger, I was a right winger. So I did, but not to the level I'd like to have done. I did my photography, and I wanted to be quite honest with you, I wanted to work and earn a bit of money and travel and see a bit of the world, really. But in those days,
Roy, did you travel to away games, including under 21s, with Andy Riley, who's not missed a game of any kind in over 30 years till now?
Yeah, I know Andy Riley. Andy has always been there. I've seen him I've seen him many times. Can't remember travelling with him. I'm sure I must have done at some point. Andy's, the old school of fan, really. Bit like Rob Shannon, really. I don't think he's missed a home at a game. You guys must know Rob, who works at the club. Rob hasn't missed a game, really, I think, for home and away for about 45 years or something ridiculous like that. So he was absolutely devastated when COVID came around and he couldn't get to see the games. And those are the fans I feel sorry for, really. I mean, again, using the word lucky, I still get in and see the games and the COVID games. Whereas those fans, if you like, their record is broken and, it comes at a bad time for them. I just wish they were there. Say Rob, especially, because I know he works at the club on match days. He hasn't missed a home and away game for about 45 years, I think.
Wow.
Crazy.
That's amazing, isn't it? Yeah. Tom Richardson's asking, who is your favourite all-time Yugoslavian player, / Croatian?
If you remember, crikey, my favourite all-time is Davor Suka, who played for Croatia.
What a player he was. His goal scoring, didn't he get something like 82 goals in 90 games or something for Croatia? Yeah, Davor Suka. Yeah. And from the olden days, I still think he is, if you like, the chairman of I think he's now the Serbian Football Association. There was a player called Dragan Djajic, who was like a superstar in his time. So I grew up with Dragan. Branko Oblak, who played for Yugoslavia as well. He was great. But Dragan, fantastic player. Played for Red Star Belgrade. Became, if you like, the head of the Yugoslavian Football Authority, and I think he still is, to be quite honest with you. But, and what wasn't Robert Prozinecki? Was it Robert Prozinecki? Yeah, Robert Prozinecki. Shirts, both Roberts, when he played for Portsmouth. You remember he played for Portsmouth? Believe it or not.
Yeah, he did for me.
Yeah,
somebody else suggested another one a few moments ago as well. Savo Misalovic.
Savo. Well, Savo was brilliant because we played. If you remember, we played in the John Frame Testimonial. We played Villa, and
I remember that
game.
6-0 on it.
Yeah, close game. But funnily enough, Gary Gardner was mascot for that game, and we had that controversy. The Gardners, Blues fans, are they Villa fans? But I said to the people when that sort of was kicking around a couple of years ago, that game, Gary was mascot, full regalia. I took pictures of him with all those players. He was mascot. But going back to Savo, he was great, and obviously he knew with a name like mine, I wasn't obviously English, and we had a chat afterwards, and he gave me his shirt afterwards. I know it's the only. People are going to go mad. It's the only Villa shirt that I've got. He signed it for me, and it was more countryman rather than Villa, really, if you understand what I mean by that. Yeah, and he was great. Yeah, really, really good lad. He was a bit out there as well, in the way he was, but he was a nice guy. But Prozinecki, Mark Meredith is just saying he was a mascot for that game with Gary Gardner. Yeah.
Wow.
It was Craig. Yeah, Craig was for the Villa game, and then Gary was another mascot. So I've got Gary when he was, I think, 8 or 9, with the picture with him and Paul Devlin, I think it is as well. So people who say they're not Blues fans, why were they there dressed in full Birmingham City regalia when they were 8
I mean, I wouldn't let my kid wear pink and blue. You know what I mean? So
I wouldn't.
The pink away kit was good though.
Oh yeah. That's a different type of pink.
The boys know this, Roy, but I won't even light a fag off a pink lighter. Will not.
No, they say, he was Irish, but Sabo was great, and he said, "I'd like you to have this after the game," and it's more of a memory and a souvenir, really, than what it actually is. But the Villa photographer, Nev Williams, I've known Nev for years. He's a good mate, and we always take the mickey out of each other, depending how the results are going. So he's sitting on cloud 9 at the moment, so I can't really take the mickey out of him too much, but. And the Albion photographer lives a couple of miles away from me, so we're all good mates, really, regardless of who we work for. And
Sorry, Roy. Do you tend to stay in touch with any of the old players?
Yeah, the one great thing about it is we used to have all these sort of historical meetings. If you remember, Ivan Barnsley started them all up, and then Tom Ross and Kevin Broadhurst do the Old Players Association. Keep in touch with a lot of them. The great thing about it, they become friends, and that's not really sort of name drop or anything like that. But you see them at events, especially the older players. When I was a young kid, I still keep in touch with several players. They keep in touch with me. Roy, they'll send me a note or an email or a text or a call. I wouldn't mind a picture from that game. Have you still got a picture of that? Ziggy, I keep in touch with, obviously. Big Zig.
Yeah.
So we do, and a lot of them have become friends over a period of time, especially Trevor. I mean, Trevor was my hero, still is, him and Christoph. And like everybody, when they were young, you think, oh, Trevor France is an absolute superstar. He's become a family friend over the years. Wow. My wife is a professional artist, and when he was manager, I told him about that, and he said, could she do a painting of me? He said, I'm sure she can. So I asked her. To cut a long story short, not wishing to bore everybody to death very quickly, she did this full-size painting of him, and he used to come to my old house where I used to live for sittings in my wife's studio. So there's my all-time superstar, favourite player of all time, sitting in my front lounge, playing Lego with my son, who was 2 or 3 at the time. And you got those moments where you think, is this real? It's like the Ali moment, you think, is this really happening? But, Trevor and God rest her soul, Helen, his wife, always used to come over, do the sittings, and we'd always have a good lunch somewhere afterwards. So Trevor enjoys his good lunches, and there's plenty of places round by me. So, yeah, I keep in touch. Trevor, obviously. Malcolm Page called me the other day. Kenny Burnsy keeps in touch. So, yeah, I do, yeah.
Can I just say apologies to our YouTube listeners and viewers? Race Dan says he's a blue nose from Southwest logging in to say hi, and he also says Exeter City's ground has a great pie, and they're big on pasties apparently.
Yeah,
of course, it's definitely.
Actually, it was good memories there. I think when Yuri Geller was there, I think he had something to do with Exeter at the time, and I remember the food there was pretty good. Yeah, Exeter's okay.
Just some breaking news.
Somebody's just put a comment saying Gary Monk has been sacked. I know it's not Blues related.
Right, okay. Go on, Nick.
Gary Monk has been sacked, apparently, according to Richard Whitehouse.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, blimey.
I think that's a bit sad, I think. He hasn't had that long.
Well, yeah, I mean...
He's not had that long. Well.
No, well...
Okay, everybody's staying quiet on that one then.
Who?
I said everybody's staying quiet on that one. So, okay, yeah.
Hasn't he got it from like -12 to about -4?
Yeah.
So he ain't doing too bad.
No,
well, it's going in the right direction, isn't it?
Yeah. I think it was his style of play they weren't too happy with. Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Oh, I enjoyed it down the Blues.
Oh well.
But anyway.
Yeah, okay. Cracking show tonight, says Ray. Brenda says she lived in the nursery. Oh, that's going back to Borsalleaf. Roy, when we played Leeds and the riots on the pitch, did you run or carry on taking photographs?
No,
you weren't there at the Blues, were you? Were you there?
No, I wasn't taking pictures, but I was at the game.
Yeah.
And I stood on my spot, literally so by the old scoreboard and the old clock, watching it all go on. And I think I could be wrong, but I think it was the same day as the Bradford fire.
It was.
Yeah, and I remember that vividly, sort of afterwards when I got home. But no, I was watching what was going on. Police, well, everybody who was there knew what went on, but no, I was there as a fan watching it from my usual spot.
Mark Meredith, now living in America.
I know Mark's over in there. He's enjoying. I hope he voted.
Yes.
Sorry, Mark Meredith saying now living in America. Yeah, I miss the games both home and away, but love seeing the photos on the website. Some great action shots that makes it all worthwhile. Lovely.
Good. He's a good lad, Mark. He worked for the club for a number of years and got a coaching gig over there, and hasn't looked back since, really.
Well, thanks for tuning in, Mark. Very good of you to join us, mate.
Pete says he's loved the show tonight. P.S. Can I have his job? Experience in waiting for 1 hour processing in super snaps. There you go. So he's perfectly qualified there.
Yeah, that that's pretty quick. And what he's got to get the experience is he's waiting 5.5 hours for a player. Go through his medical and all the other regalia that goes on when you do another signing, and then the photographs take you 20 minutes. That's the key to success. Being patient.
Most
Yeah.
definitely. Most
Literally
definitely.
Somebody asked a very interesting question a little while ago, Roy, and it was basically how much notice do you get when a new player's coming in, and you've got to do that photo shoot, and obviously that hasn't been announced yet. So do you get to know who it is beforehand?
I've had it from 2 or 3 days in advance to half an hour in advance.
Right.
Really?
So is Alexandra Pato in the sky right now and your phone could ring?
Could be. I'm looking at my phone now. As I said to you, anything could happen in the next half hour. But it is literally like that because it works so quickly and the situations develop so quickly. And as I said earlier on, you can't hang around with the players. They go in, they do things, and they want to get out quickly. So you've got to go in and just do what you've got to do. But I've been there at 7 o'clock in the morning waiting for a player. To pitch in a recent player as well. You've probably seen the photos of the player in the mist, in the early morning mist. So it's literally some of it could be 8, 9, 8:30, 7 o'clock in the morning, and you get yanked in and to do it. So it's all times, it's all days. You can't say it's not going to happen on a Sunday, it's not going to happen on a Monday. It can happen literally any time.
Yeah, sure. Now, looking ahead, we don't have a game, obviously, this weekend coming because it's international break again. But we've got another game on the 20th of November, which is the Friday night, away at home against Coventry.
Yep.
That's our next game, isn't it? Shall we do predictions? Mind you,
Sorry, Roy, do you have to sit in the away end or
this is the real silly thing, really. I had to apply to Coventry to get a photographer's pass for my own ground.
Oh, really?
No.
No. And when we were in the Europa League, I had to apply to UEFA to get a photographer's pass for St Andrews for my own ground.
What?
Yeah.
What? Sacrilege, that is.
So it's not. Despite the fact that Coventry play at St Andrews, that day it's their ground. So you had to go through the protocols as if it was, if they were still in Coventry, if they were at the Rico, you still have to go through the same protocols of applying for accreditation for that club who are playing that day at home, regardless whether it's St Andrews or not. That's how it works. But that was the weird thing.
3 minutes of the show to go, and
hope everybody's still awake.
The questions are still coming in.
When you're taking photographs, right, and we start picking on somebody, like whether it's away fans or something funny's happened, and we come out with one of these stupid funny songs that we're always doing. How do you concentrate?
It's hard. Do you know what the hardest thing is as an actual fan and a real fan? I'd like to see myself as a real fan, to separate what you're doing, to not get wrapped up in what's around you and the emotion of scoring a goal. Especially Wembley, when Obafemi scored, was a bloody nightmare because I could see what he was going to do. And you just think, as long as he connects, we've won. He scored. But you have to completely have some form of blinker tunnel vision not to get involved with what's around you. And that is so hard.
Somebody asked earlier how many photographs of the backflips did you get?
About 12.
12. That's not bad.
Too bad.
Carol Sanders, thanks lads for getting Blue Nose legend Roy on the show. Great to hear things from his perspective. Keep right on. You're a guy who's captured memories over many, many years. 3 million photographs under your belt. 3 million. Just put that into perspective. 3 million photographs. You're a guy who is you are part of Birmingham City. You are what we are. Yeah. I'm a fan. You've captured memories and you've made memories over many, many, many years for many hundreds and thousands of people. And I'm sure from everybody from the bottom of our hearts, Roy, thank you so very much indeed.
It's been a pleasure.
Absolutely.
I'm glad that people enjoy the stuff that I do, and it's great being part of the Blues family. Always has been for, crikey, 45 years of my life, and it'll continue till, they nail me down in the Blues coffin.
And I honestly, from my point of view, I've been waiting for this night for a long, long time, mate.
Well,
Nice
I
one.
hope I haven't
Great
bored
picture
you.
a couple of years ago. Well, ladies and gentlemen, what can I say? It's 9 o'clock. This is what Mondays are for. This has been the Tilton Talk Show. Best wishes, of course, to Linda's mum and Barrington.
Absolutely.
Pastor.
Best wishes from me as well.
Get well soon, both of you.
Yep.
And we are going to fall silent now for a minute as we take on board the fact that it's Remembrance Weekend. Superb job done at St Andrews, by the way. With that, it always is. It's lovely. It's very moving. And we'll just take a moment to pause and reflect and give our thanks. Roy Smiljanic, this has been a pleasure, an absolute pleasure. And you, my friend, are a blues legend, without a doubt. Good night.
Thanks, guys. And keep right on to everybody. And thank you for asking me. I've enjoyed it.
From
Thanks,
Mr.
Roy.
Sitches,
Thanks, guys.
Good night, everyone.
from Mr. Robe,
Good night, everyone. Please stay safe.
from Mrs. Brown,
Good night.
from myself, good night, and from Roy, I'm sure.
Good night. And keep safe, everybody. And hopefully can't wait to see you back at the
Thank you
ground.
so much for joining us. It means
Pleasure.
so much to all the people out there. It really does.
Thank you.
From the Tilton, we'll support you till the end of the day. We're so happy following the blues. We love you, what more can we say?